Sorry, Mike, your food is finished.
Hey, hi. No, no, it's okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry about it.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Sad stuff.
I hadn't seen him in quite a while. But no, I think it's about next month.
I think it's almost time to do audio. Good dude. Really good dude.
Well, thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, amazing. I haven't switched it. It's done nothing. I just want to make sure I don't think it's coming through these.
No problem.
It's right about that time, right? I should be sorry. It'll be okay.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, great shot. Perfect. Yeah, that's it. And I've got cuts and changes.
No. I was trying to set a
Cheers.
test.
Thank you. Bye.
Quick mic check. 1, 2, 3. Quick mic check. Sounds good. Yeah, I think it's like the levels actually on there. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Thank you for letting me know. Can you hear me? Yeah, I am. Can you hear me? I have not seen English medication, and they're just yet. So. Yeah, you got it.
No, I mean, would that screw up? I don't know. You tell me. Screw up the sound? I don't need to hear my question. My questions are usually pretty quick. So I'd rather not F up the sound on the press conference. Trust me, I'm loud enough that they'll hear me. Yeah, sure.
Can you sit on your lap?
What's that?
Can you sit on your lap?
Nobody's done that since my daughter was a preschooler, but
Sure, refuge game.
I just got to pop up for a stand up. No, you're fine. Right there. You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, not sure they're gonna fix that fix my other problem. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry about that. My recorder. It's a whole setup. Thank you.
I have been leaving this one on, but I've been turning it off in my class. It's green.
Yeah, that's fine. The other one's one.
The other one I've been turning off. Change them now or later? Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
I guess what actually that's 75.
Do you have audio on one?
Yeah, let me
He says he does.
okay.
Are you guys coming back to us before the presser, or are we just going to wait until after?
Okay.
Wow. That's what they're saying. I don't know that it's going to. Yeah, it's for next one. Okay, that's fine. Give me a heads up if they walk out behind me, Brian.
Okay.
Y'all, give me a minute, okay? Welcome, everybody. Give me a minute.
That might actually be like.
Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Shout out to everybody. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button, please, and thank you.
For some reason, I slide.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
Just vibes. Yeah.
Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, scroll out a little bit of what we're probably going to hear here in a couple of minutes.
Mic check.
NTSB
1 2 1 2.
traditionally,
Mic check.
They open
1
up these
2
pressers.
1
Jennifer
2
Hoover
3
is
1
the 15th director of
1
National
1 2 1 2
Transportation
1
Safety
2
Board.
1.
Members of NTSB are going to come out here today. We are initially probably going to get what they call a TikTok. What that is, not the social media app, of course. This will be a point-by-point description from NTSB of exactly not only what happened with American Airlines 5342, but also what was going on with that helicopter. NTSB investigators will update us on the recovery efforts that have been going on since about, we're looking at about, over 18 hours ago. And then we are also going to get a picture of what the way forward here looks like. And remember, we are only in the early stages of this recovery. They are still pulling victims out of the Potomac River. Now, what we did hear recently was a statement by D.C. Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton, who is on the Congressional Aviation Committee. We hear 2 minutes? 3 minutes. So we're being told this is going to begin in 3 minutes from right now. What Delegate Norton had said was, to her information on the Congressional Aviation Committee, was that the black box flight recorder, in her words, had not been recovered yet. Now, what we do know from some of the preliminary briefings that have gone on was that the fuselage of this aircraft broke into 3 different parts. So this is one of the primary things that investigators try to do when they are responding to major aircraft disasters like this. Not only
So we have a press conference. Hopefully they'll give us more information. 3 more minutes.
Getting hold of that flight data recorder and be able to go through the telemetry in that to be able to discern exactly what was going on prior to this mid-air collision, and then what happened in the immediate aftermath afterwards. So again, we do not know what we do not know. The press conference has not occurred yet, but certainly these are all going to be major points of the presentation today as we move forward here with what these federal aviation investigators are looking at, what they have looked at, and what they're going to be looking for in the future. Back to you.
All right, he stopped talking. Nikki, thank you for being a member for a month. Shout out to everybody in the chat. For those that are coming in, thank you guys for giving me a minute to set everything up. We have another press conference, and this one is actually from the National Transportation Safety Board, the actual professionals that are going to tell us what the hell happened. So I am at least, preliminary, what we know so far. I am so here for it. Instead of, people that are in higher ranks thinking that they could tell us what happened. Shout out to everybody. Give me 1 sec, y'all. Right, Storm. Right. Thank you guys. Nikki, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships, love. Shout out to you.
Look, all aviation
Guys,
are that's
if
a
you've
given.
been gifted, put a heart in the
worst
chat,
case
please, and
scenario,
thank you.
In this situation
Thank you,
is
Nikki.
a water crash, and that's what we're dealing with. Years ago, I had gone to an FAA facility in Pomona, New Jersey, and worked with some of the FAA and NTSB investigators, and they have a laboratory there where they actually will go and train investigators on how to decipher exactly what happened in an airline disaster. And back when I had made that trip 20 years ago, the NTSB investigators had told me, but that is the hardest kind of air disaster to investigate, because not only are you dealing with, the tremendous conditions of the water itself, but also the recovery operations of the victims are arduous. So this is a horrible disaster. It's a terrible disaster, but also in the eyes of emergency officials, this is the worst case scenario for their jobs on trying to decipher not only what happened here, but how it happened as well.
Welcome, everybody. I'm letting the people talk because I don't want to talk over them. Thank you guys for being here. Itchy Dayton, thank you for being here. Shout out to you. Platform Boots, I haven't seen you here in a minute, love. Shout out to you. Thank you for being here. Sakina, where have you been? Shout out to you.
I'm going to sit down right now because we're about to begin. I can.
Franny Law, thank you for renewing your membership. Shout out to you, love. Thank you. Here we go.
Remember, chat. Stay within that border there.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Jennifer Homendy, and I'm the chairwoman of the National Transportation Safety Board. The National Transportation Safety Board is an independent federal agency that's charged by Congress with investigating every civil aviation and serious accident and serious incident in the United States and significant events in other modes of transportation. With me today is Bryce Banning. Bryce is a senior aircraft accident investigator with the National Transportation Safety Board. He's also going to serve as our investigator in charge of this investigation. Also with me today is the entire board. We have Todd Inman, member Todd Inman. Todd is going to serve as the board member on scene, the spokesperson for this investigation. All of the board members will be here. We have Vice Chairman Alvin Brown, member Mike Graham, who lived in Wichita for 20 years. And we also have member Tom Chapman. The NTSB's headquarters is just a mile from here. I do want to say this is a whole of government effort. I was able to brief, along with others, the President of the United States and the Vice President this afternoon. I want to thank them for their leadership, for their tremendous support, NTSB, for our investigators, and for the responders that are on scene doing an important mission. I also want to thank Secretary Sean Duffy, who I was communicating with early on after we first got word of this tragedy, We've been working together throughout the day, along with his team at the DOT and within FAA. I also want to thank Secretary Pete Hegseth, who was also integral in working with us today. Chris Rocheleau, the acting administrator of the Federal Aviation Administration. We've heard from many members of Congress on both sides of the aisle. And so I will say this is a tremendous, one more time, whole of government effort. I also want to take a moment and thank the many, many responders that have been on scene. It has been an incredible effort. And I will have a full list that I will provide, that we will provide tomorrow, but I do want to thank them for all their work. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Member Inman for additional remarks.
Since we're just beginning our investigation, we don't have a great deal of information to share right now. We will keep you informed by giving regular updates. Today, we will be going and having an organizational meeting and establishing our parties to our investigation. We currently have the following parties that are already identified: PSA Airlines, GE Aerospace, Sikorsky, FAA, NACTA, which represents the air traffic controllers, ALPA, which represents the pilots, Army, AFA, which represents the flight attendants. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada will be an accredited representative under Annex 13 of ICAO. They will be supplemented by MHIRG as a technical advisor. They were previously known as Bombardier. The NTSB offers this party status to those companies, government agencies, and associations that have employees, activities, or equipment involved in the accident. We offer that because they will provide technical expertise and relevant information supporting the development of the best possible factual record. Once they join this investigation, they are not permitted to release documents or talk publicly about the investigation without the consent of the NTSB. So I want to stress this. It is only the NTSB that will provide information related to this investigation, with one exception. Regarding the fatalities that occurred, that notification will be handled by the DC medical examiner. We will not be discussing fatalities or names. That will be handled by them as the proper authority. So we want to talk a little bit about our process. We will analyze the facts and determine the probable cause of the accident, and then issue a report of those determinations. I also want to talk a little bit about some additional people that are here with us, and they're very important to us, and that is our family assistance group. Later today, we will be briefing the families. We normally try to do this before a media event, but in this case, they're still arriving. Our family assistance specialists are already working closely with local officials and others to help assist them in their efforts to support everyone that's affected by this accident. And let me just reiterate what the chair said. A loss of life in an aviation accident is very unusual in the United States, and our heartfelt sorrow goes out to everyone that's affected. It affects us, affects everyone around us. There are a lot of people hurt today. We will help find out what happened. We will do it factually, and we will do it accurately. As part of this, we're going to be standing up some specific working groups. Those working groups will be operations. They will be looking at the history of the accident flight and crew members' duties for as many days before the crash as appears relevant. We'll be forming a structures group, which will be the documentation of the airframe wreckage and the accident scene, including calculation of impact angles to help determine plane's pre-impact course and altitude. We'll have a power plants group. They will do the examination of the engines and the engine accessories. We'll have a systems group. They will study the components of the plane's hydraulic, electrical, pneumatic, and associated systems, together with the instruments and elements of the flight control system. We'll have an air traffic control group. They will do reconstruction and review of air traffic control systems provided to and including acquisition of pertinent flight track surveillance information, what you might typically think of as radar or ADSB, along with controller pilot communications. We will also have a survival factors group. They will be doing the documentation of impact, forces and injuries, community emergency planning, and all crash and fire rescue efforts. Also, due to the unique nature of this crash, we will be having a helicopter group as well. Lastly, we will have a human performance group, and this will not be its own group. It will actually be a part of the operations, air traffic control, and helicopter groups. They will study the crew performance and all before the accident factors that might be involved in human error, including fatigue, medication, medical histories, training, workload, equipment design, and work environment. Now, we're going to take a few questions, but I will again stress, we don't have a lot of information now. We will continue to gather that. We will try to release it as we can, but we will only talk about the facts of the case that we know right now.
So,
I'm going to ask, we'll call on a few people. I'm going to ask that you state your name, affiliation.
James Matthews.
I'm going to turn it back over to Member Ing.
Hey there, Skylar Henry with CBS News. Earlier today, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said a mistake was made last night. Based off of you all's initial investigations and preliminary findings, have you all been able to tell whether this was human error or mechanical failure?
The question was, has there been human error or mechanical failure? We don't know what we know just yet. We do not know enough facts to be able to rule in or out human factor, mechanical factors. That is part of the NTSB investigative process, where all of these groups will come together. It's one of the reasons why the NTSB is known as the gold standard. We will take the time that's necessary, but I'd also like to reiterate, if we find something that is a significant issue that warrants immediate action, we will not hesitate to make those recommendations and make them public. We have a good track record on that. We want to continue doing so. Sir.
Hello, Sir Tom Costello with NBC News. Does it hurt in your investigative process, maybe for the chairman, does it hurt your investigative process to have the president already suggesting possible causes here as you try to keep an open mind and begin this investigation?
Tom, with all due respect, I think the press also likes to state what probable cause is before we get to the probable cause. So what I'm going to say is you need to give us time. You need to give NTS, it's not that we don't have information. We do have information.
Give them time.
We have data. We have substantial amounts of information. We need to verify information. We need to take our time to make sure it is accurate. That's best for you. That's important for the families. It's important for legislators who are seeking answers to try to figure out what they're going to do about this. And so it will take time. We do have a lot of information, but we need some time to verify that.
Yeah, Member Chase Williams with Fox Business. I'm wondering about the conditions in the tower last night. Were there any performance issues in the past with any of these controllers? Anything of that nature?
The question is about the controllers. As I said, we are just now forming the groups. The controllers do have union representation, which they're entitled to. They'll be working with our party system and our party groups. They'll be conducting interviews. Those interviews will need to be analyzed, transcribed, and other team members will need to look over it. It will be a long process, but we will go through the entire history.
Michelle Gilray, The Independent. My question is for the chairwoman. Can you tell us more about what the president and the vice president's responses were when you briefed them this afternoon?
Sure. So the question was about my briefing for the president and the vice president. As a standard, we offer briefings on our process and what we know. And this was a briefing with the president and vice president and with Secretary Duffy and Secretary Hegseth and also the acting administrator of the FAA. There was discussion on what we know so far and our process, and that was about it.
Ma'am, Chairwoman, Stephanie Ramos with ABC News. Similar to Tom Costello's question. Google.
One.
Gabe Cohen from CNN. Can you tell me if the NTSB has reviewed this FAA internal report that has been cited by the New York Times indicating that the controller that was on duty at the time of the crash was doing a job that's usually done by two people?
We have not reviewed any specific reports about the controllers at this time. At least from the leadership team, our investigators are continuing to pull all that information. Their personnel records, their files, where they were at, whether they were fatigued, all that information will be part of that investigative process. But right now, we can't speculate on anything that may have been reported in the media until we get the opportunity to validate and understand how it impacts the investigation. We're going to take just a few more questions.
Just to follow up on that.
Sir?
Yes, Warren Conheim, Secret Magazine. What's the process and the logistics like of bringing the families in? Are they coming into the airport? And how are you going to sort of treat the sensitivity of bringing them to the place where this tragedy happened?
So the question is about the families. And many of those families are still en route. Some are still being notified from both the military and from the commercial crash. There is a family assistance facility that's being stood up by American and PSA Airlines in Bethesda, Maryland. They've already been working on that, standing it up. Our team from our disaster assistance team has also been coordinating with them. We plan on briefing them. It is customary that at some point, if the families wish to go to part of the accident site, that we would arrange such a thing, but it will only be when we know that it's safe, we have the correct perishable evidence, and we can do it the proper modesty that should be for those family members. It will be a little bit of a process, but it will take some time.
Sir, to follow up on the air traffic control system.
Now, so are you?
I know that Marielle Carver with DC News now. We've heard from some witnesses that they saw people were able to come down the slides of the plane. Has there been any indication that people made it off the plane to the water?
Well, again, we will not speak to the fatalities. The DC medical examiner will, but I think the DC fire chief this morning very succinctly said correctly that we believe there are no survivors.
But were they off the plane? Like, did they even get out of the plane?
Last question.
Sir, Victoria Sanchez with
So, hang on a second. Right, more question?
Victoria Sanchez, ABC7. Right here. Sure. Are you going to be looking at the family member's cell phone?
Go ahead.
Jeff Cook, ABC News. What do you know about the altitude of the helicopter at the moment of impact? And can you talk about the procedure for such helicopters in that area?
The question was about the helicopter procedures, and in DC, it's kind of a unique environment. We've been getting briefed more and more by the FAA. I'm not an air traffic control specialist, but they're actually helicopter zones, if you will, or tracks. And this one was transiting, I believe, from track 1 to 4 as part of their normal procedure. If you live in DC, you see a lot of helicopters going down into this area. So there's a very well-defined system in that regard. As far as altitude, until we get the additional information, we can't validate or basically corroborate any of that until we get more of the electronic data and the data that's on the plane. I do want to clarify one question that also came about cell phones. You know, today's age and time, a lot of electronics and other devices do contain a lot of different information. We've found on a number of our accidents that we actually are notified through a smartphone that made sense then. As part of our process, we will obviously treat all of the effects of the deceased with dignity. We are already starting to pull that information together. If we feel that it's necessary to find or pull some of that information, we will work with the families and make sure we do it in a manner that's respectful for them and their privacy. But right now, we don't have any plans specifically on that amount, on that area until we need to. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Talking about what could have happened or what happened or what they're planning to do moving forward. Shout out to the professionals.
Further updates on
Hold up. I just wanted to air that press conference. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Kestrel says the plane inverted and went into the water upside down in pieces. No slide could have been used. So it sounds what? Your nose. Okay, mama girl. It sounds like it was like there was no planning for this. It was a legit situation that happened like on impact, right? That's at least how I'm assessing the situation, or at least how it's been reported to me, based on what we have so far. What do you have to say? No, I can't give you that. Oh no, girl. Oh no, girl. Oh no, girl. Oh no, girl. Put this over there. Put this over there. All right. Anyways, guys, I gotta let you guys go because I gotta go tend to baby bunny. This one, mama. No, I'm not giving you my phone. Sorry, girl. We're not doing that. The CEO has spoken. Thank you guys so much for being here. You guys are amazing. Hit the like button. I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of what's been out there press conference wise. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys. Oh, and thank you so much, Nikki and Franny Law, for those of you guys that have been beautiful to the channel and supported today, whether you hit the like button or you gifted, whatever it may be. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys. No.